Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Reagan and today I'm going to be telling you about all the books I read in the month of December. That number would be 12. I've had quite a confusing reading month that I'm going to share it with you all. Without further ado, let's get into the 12 books I read in the month of December. I say it was quite a confusing reading month because I read a lot of holiday books, and holiday books can really either be hit or miss. And since I read so many of them, we had a lot of hits and a lot of misses. I did have a total of, I think, at least 2 5-star reads this month. We're just gonna go ahead and start with the first book, and that happens to be one of my 5 stars. We're going backwards this time. The last book I read in 2025 was a 5-star. Thank you, book gods. I needed it. I needed a 5-star bad. That book was Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday. I have never heard anyone talk about this book, and I think more people need to. This was amazing. Again, I rated it 5 stars. In this book, we follow our FMC who had been training all her life to be a professional ballet dancer, but she had some issues with eating and her weight and also just her love for the sport and for ballet. So she ended up quitting and becoming a dance teacher at a local dance studio. And our MMC, he is a hockey player for the professional team in the area. Our two characters actually met when they were a lot younger, and our FMC remembers, but our MMC does not. They met at a coffee shop. From that day forward, our FMC starts writing fake letters to our MMC. He has no idea that this is happening. He is her fake boyfriend for the sake of social purposes. The single dad trope in this book, done so well, and the kid wasn't annoying. Like, I valued the kid in this book. Shocker, I know. I felt so many feelings while reading this book. I cried, number one. Heavy topics of grief in here. Our MMC's ex-wife actually died pretty recently, and he's dealing with a lot of grief, and his daughter is dealing with a lot of grief, so heavy topics of grief. Our MMC is such a green flag that it almost wasn't even believable, and I'm not one to love the golden retriever. I'm the one to love the black cat, but golden retriever, he was almost too emotionally intelligent to where I was like, no, this is a man written by a woman, and unfortunately I keep replaying that in my head, but honestly I just ignored it, and it was so good. There were so many moments in this book where I giggled out loud because of something the MMC said or did. Every part of this book was meant to be there. It really added value to the story, which I can't always say for a lot of romance books. I feel like sometimes there are scenes just for them to be scenes in the book, but I felt like this book, all the scenes were necessary. They weren't there to be clippable moments for TikTok. It was all part of a bigger plan and a bigger plot, and I love that. More people need to be talking about this as a sports romance. I don't see enough about this book anywhere. Absolutely loved, 5 stars. Moving on to A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. This is a fantasy author I've never read before, and quite honestly, this book was not my favorite. The entire time, I really just felt like I was reading a romance book that happened to be set in a fantasy setting, and that's not what I was craving. I wanted some fantasy. I wanted some deep world building. I really just felt like I was reading a romance. It really was the forefront of this book was their romance, and to be quite honest, I didn't like our MMC. In this world, there are the elves and then there are the humans. And every century or so, a new human queen is chosen to go live with the elf king and do something. We don't really know what it's for, what the human queen is used for. Our FMC gets chosen unknowingly to be this human queen. Normally they know in advance because they have signs of magic, but our FMC has no idea she's about to be chosen as the human queen. She gets chosen and she has to go move her life away and go live with this elf king for the sake of peace in her realm. It's probably good for fantasy readers who are transitioning from romance only to fantasy. This would be a good way to get used to kind of how world building works. It wasn't for me. I didn't connect to either of our characters. I honestly couldn't care less what happened to both of them. I really just felt like our MMC was supposed to be like the shadow daddy, like, you know, mythical creature, but he just kind of gave nothing. Not totally my favorite of the month, but it's okay. We live and we learn. I do want to read Elise Kova's new book that's coming out this year, and I think it will be better than this one. It has like dragons in it, but I just don't think this one was for me, and that's okay. This next book was definitely another miss. Unfortunately, we have A Heart for Christmas by Sophie Jomain. This was my advent calendar book for the month of December, and so every day I could open a new little chapter to read. Obviously on the 1st of December, I opened day 1, read a chapter a day up until Christmas. Love the concept. The content was not good. I don't often say books are bad, but this book to me was actually bad. It could have used editing. It genuinely felt like the author finished writing it and then just published it with no sort of intervention, no sort of editing, like what there wasn't a second editorial process. It just felt like it was pushed out. The dialogue was so unnatural. I was quite confused most times when the characters were talking to each other. It didn't feel real. And at first I was like, this is probably just like an older author trying to write in young slang terms. No, I don't believe that was true. We said LOL, like literally spelled out LOL as a piece of dialogue, like 4 or 5 times during this entire book. And once, okay, maybe I could see someone being like lol. 5 times, it was like every other freaking chapter we had a lull. Other than the lulls, I just felt like the dialogue was so absolutely unnatural. The characters were unlikable. Random plots were being thrown in for no reason that didn't connect, didn't need to be there. It just was poorly done in my opinion. And the only redeemable part about this book that kept me reading was the fact that I got to open a chapter every day. Other than that, I would have quit way in the beginning. I think on Fable, I gave this 0.5 stars. Next, we have another one of my 5-star reads from December. This is Wreck My Plans by Jullian Meadows, another holiday book that, why is no one talking about this? Next holiday season, this needs to be on your TBR. And also as an interconnected standalone to this book, the first one is non-holiday themed and I need to read that ASAP. This might be one of my new auto buy authors because the writing in this book was actually immaculate. This is a book for the romance girlies. Jullian Meadows knows her way around the block when it comes to romance. It didn't feel tropey, but there were several tropes in here that are my favorites that I love, but it didn't feel like they were thrown in there for the sake of them to be described to an audience. It was really like, this is a beautiful moment between the characters and it happens to fit under this trope versus this is a trope that I love, I'm going to force it into this book. This follows our FMC who is kind of down on her luck. She's just recently been let go of one of her favorite jobs. Our MMC is her brother's best friend. He's had a very tortured past. He was in the foster care system very young and he's had a lot of parental issues. Essentially, they both go home for the holidays and our MMC's home actually happens to be with her family because this is the only family he's ever known. So they don't know that each other are going to be at this family function, but they both end up there together. A little romance sparks. We know that there has been some history in the past, but it hasn't grown into anything because of several different reasons. This book also made me cry. I annotated the hell out of this book. So many quotable moments, but not that they were there for the sake of a quotable moment. It was just gorgeous writing and I loved it to death. If you're looking for a holiday romance book for next year, or if this is a video that you're stumbling across around the holiday season, pick up this book. This is one of my top holiday romance recs ever of all time ever. Frigid by JLA. We are going to speed through this one because I did not like this book. I didn't like it. I would have liked it if I read it when Twilight came out, around that age range for myself, because this was like the most stereotypical 2014 stuck in the snow romance ever. It was just of its time. And I think it was written probably around 2014 if I'm being honest. Yeah, 2013. But I just didn't enjoy it personally now. We have our FMC and our MMC who are best friends and have been best friends since birth. However, our FMC has a huge crush on our MMC. They go to this ski cabin, his mom's ski cabin, every single year as a group of friends. This year, there is a huge snowstorm. And what do you know? They're the only 2 people that make it to the cabin and they get snowed in. Then there's this random side criminal plot where like someone's trying to kill them. It was like very strange and unnecessary. It just felt of its time is how I'm gonna say it, as I've said it a million times already. And it was like, okay, but I wouldn't recommend. I'm not continuing the series. I'm quite frankly going to give this book away and get it off of my shelf. So not for me, but I did read it. Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal by Meghan Quinn. This is the second book in an interconnected series following kind of the plot of The Grinch. This one follows Max, our MMC, who is kind of like a playoff Max the dog from The Grinch. And then we have Betty. I don't know who Betty's supposed to be from the original Grinch or if she's from another Christmas movie. I'm not totally sure, but Betty is there and she's our FMC. I loved the first book in this series. This book was good, but it wasn't my favorite. Betty essentially is helping her uncle develop the land that is beside the Maxheimers' family Christmas tree farm, and Betty is helping her uncle develop this new plot of land into an imposing Christmas tree farm, and Max is having absolutely none of it. So he comes up with a plan to sabotage Betty and her uncle's Christmas tree farm, and it may or may not involve her falling for him, and it works. I think the issue I had with this book mainly is that both of our main characters really seem like the same person, and it was kind of the point in the way that they kept joking about how similar they were. They would like finish each other's sentences, like in Frozen when Anna's like, and we finish each other's sandwiches. That's what I was gonna say. Like that was the entire vibe of this book, but it did get tiring. To a point, I understand, like, oh, it's really quirky, we are like literally the same person. Even if you are the same person, you'll still have differences about your past and about yourself. And the only difference I could find was that she had a pet tarantula and everything else really was the same thing. So it kind of got to a point where I'm like, I'm reading about the same character. One's just a man and one's just a woman, and they are both their love interests. It was kind of weird. I didn't love it. And I'm saying all this stuff negatively as if I didn't rate it like a 3.5 stars. I had a lot of fun. That was just my one critique of I couldn't fall for the romance because of it. Very fun, very Christmassy, entertaining. I would recommend for the Christmas season. I would especially recommend the first book, but this one is also great too. Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. I did not know that Hannah Grace was coming out with a Christmas book until the beginning of December when I went into a Barnes and I saw it on a table and I was like, oh, she's coming home with me. This was really good. I rated it at 3.5 as well. It was good, but not great. There was a few things missing. In the beginning, I was absolutely devouring it. But when I got towards the end, it kind of fell off. I think I really liked our characters and I liked their chemistry. What I didn't like was that the plot had something to do with their careers. And I felt like it should have been more front and center than it actually was. I think if we had had a little bit of an extra sprinkle, a little bit of an extra push with the plot and with the work conflicts, it would have been a lot better. I think it was missing a little bit of background plot situation. I love how Hannah Grace wrote a book not about college kids. These were fully grown adults, and I think she did them almost better character-wise than our Icebreaker, Daydream, Wildfire, those characters. I don't think that the romance of the main characters had any issues. They were totally fine for me. I think it was everything else that would have made the background stuff would have made the book so much better. A little bit of extra plot, just a little sprinkle, make it a little bit more of a big deal. A few extra side characters, and this could have been a 5-star read. Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I didn't know that this was turned into some sort of film, Netflix series, not totally sure. Is about Bill Furlong, and he's a man who lives in Ireland in the 80s, and it's coming up on the holiday season. He works in the coal industry, one of his biggest times of year, and he happens upon a situation at the local, I was gonna say apothecary, no, not apothecary, where the nuns live is what I'm trying to say, at the local convent, question mark. And the nuns have a whole bunch of power in this little town. Bill finds out that they are not using that power for good purposes. Being a hero, and he's trying to save this situation, this corruption of power. And it's really cute. It's really heartwarming. It's something that I would read again and again every holiday season, just to remind yourself that like people are good, the world is good, there's good things in the world, people care, and we're not all just losing to large powers. Meet Me Under the Mistletoe by Jenny Bayliss. This was another really strong Christmas read. Essentially, our FMC has made it in the world. She owns her own little bookshop in the city, and she's having a grand old time when she gets a wedding invite from her ex-hookup, and she's invited to the wedding. So her friends convince her. She goes to the wedding at this castle that she used to visit at quite often in her childhood. It brings up a lot of memories. This is a core story about a friendship group and power dynamics and wealth, and how wealth is viewed by different people. It's more than the romance. However, the romance was so strong. I really enjoyed this book all around. Another really strong Christmas read. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. So British, so quintessentially British. It was absolutely hilarious. Like the amount of times they went for tea was honestly comical, but I'm pretty sure that our author is British, so it's probably accurate, which makes it a little bit more funny. I just think if you're looking for a holiday romance that leans a little bit more lit fic, this is probably the perfect way for you to go. It was warm, it was cozy, it also was serious, but not too serious, and still kept the Christmassy vibes. Next, I read these two books, both by Codi Hall. We have Mistletoe Mischief and The Mistletoe Mix-Up. These are part of a series, and I didn't read the first one. These are the second and third books respectively. Neither of them I liked. I couldn't even remember anything about either one of them. I just remember that I didn't like them. They were bad. The main male characters were toddlers, and our FMCs had to literally like take care of them. Like, how could you root for a male main character when he gets caught by our FMC checking out another girl's boobs? How am I supposed to root for him at that point? At that point, he's 30. What are we doing? What are we doing? How am I supposed to root for that couple when they just had essentially a cheating incident? I'm so confused. I didn't like like them. I've decided I'm not going to read any more of Codi Hall's books. A few of them are really good. I just don't think that they give me the best results. They're all like meh or bad. If they're meh and bad, why would I keep reading them expecting a great book? Lastly, we read Brimstone by Callie Hart this month. This was the first book I read in the month. It took me quite a while to get through. Look at this. Carrion in the front of the book. Are you joking? Are you joking? I didn't like it as much as Quicksilver. I honestly think I rated this a 4.5. If I rated this a 5, it might need to be corrected. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I really did. It was a very solid book. I kind of lost the magic of Quicksilver a little bit in this one. I need more Carrion. I need Carrion to get with someone, please. I can't tell you much about this book because it would spoil the first one. However, Quicksilver was one of my favorite fantasies of last year. So if you're looking to go into a fantasy, I would totally recommend Quicksilver. I'm not going to say much else because I don't want to give away the plot. If you'd like to read Quicksilver, please go do it. Please go do it. Kingfisher in this one, I think he just didn't hit the same. It's like they are already together. There's no issue anymore. It's kind of like a Xaden and Violet situation where like the second book, they're fully together. They like in Onyx Storm, they know that they're together, so it's kind of boring. Excited for the next book, and I hope it comes soon, but I don't have much else to say other than read Quicksilver. It was so good. Those are all the books I read in the month of December. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you read any of these books in December. Let me know if you have any book recs for me that you read in December. How was your reading month? What was going on for all of you during the holiday season? I will see you for some more beginning of the year content coming up soon throughout the month of January. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all to death. Check out the Etsy in my description box below. I will also link below my other socials, and like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Thank you so much. I love you all. Bye.